Hey, what's up, everybody? Chicago Gooner here, bringing you another Arsenal talk. In this Arsenal talk, I'll be talking about the Champions League draw and the schedule for the Champions League, and then also the upcoming game against Leicester City. Going on to the Champions League draw, of course, it was Thursday. Of course, we drew Dortmund once again. Seems like we get attached to those German sides all too often over the last few years. Um, and then we got Galatasaray right after that, and right after we got that one, I was like, okay, we're gonna get screwed again, and we're gonna be, you know, and then like the biggest name in pot four was basically Roma. That's one side that you just really want to avoid at all costs, and thank God we didn't get them. I thought for sure they were going to stick us, with Roma, and honestly, that would have been almost harder to get through that group stage or this group stage if it was Roma, if it than last year, I think, with Dortmund and Napoli and Marseille, because it seems like Marseille was more like in a transitional period where they wanted to get younger and play younger, rather than Dortmund's they have a like a veteran squad. Same with Napoli, but it was nice that we got, I'm not going to be calling them exactly a whipping boy, but we got Anderlecht, Belgium side, which was kind of nice to see. I guess they're, from all the experts of what they're saying, that we have anywhere from like the third or fourth hardest or most difficult group stage. But it's from last year to this year, you're looking at Dortmund. They don't have Lewandowski anymore. They don't have that huge threat, that world class striker up front for them anymore. Royce is coming off a pretty severe ankle injury that knocked him out of the World Cup, that knocked him out pretty much the entire summer. Of course, they have some people. Gundogan's coming back this year. I'm not sure if he's entirely fit, but he's coming back. They have Seth Bender. They have array of deep talent. But when you take away that world class striker, that goal machine that was Lewandowski, it's almost kind of like a Liverpool scenario, that you take Suarez out of Liverpool and all of a sudden, they're not quote unquote immortal anymore. So you take that threat up top away from them, and you know they become more beatable than they were last year. It's still going to be a tough game regardless. Dortmund is Dortmund. They're always going to have great young talent coming in through the system. They have pretty much arguably one of the best youth systems in the world, because they just keep on producing great talent out of their youth system, especially just in Germany alone. Germany's basically, you can almost say they're in their, how many golden eras have they really have, um, since the start of football, since the start of the World Cup. They've probably had so many, but you could say that they're in a golden age right now of the amount of talent they have at their disposal. And of course, Dortmund is one of the, next to Bayern Munich, and they're basically like the next top dog from Bayern Munich. But regardless of anything, it's still going to be a tough game. Going to Dortmund, our Arsenal was the first English side to ever beat Dortmund at Dortmund last season. Um, so you can just tell from that alone of how tough Dortmund is in the Champions League, of how tough they are, even playing at home. Um, I guess the one thing that I kind of pointed out on Twitter, that it's kind of nice to see that we might be, that we will be playing Dortmund again, because um, if if you're on YouTube, of course, you're listening to me, but if you follow Arsenal Fan TV as well, You saw last year that Robbie and his crew went to Dortmund, and a lot of Dortmund fans came here for the game at the Emirates too. And the Dortmund fans, they're some of the classiest fans in the world. Um, you know, they had nothing but great things to say about Arsenal, about the people in London. It seemed like all the away fans that went to Dortmund said, I didn't hear one bad thing said about Dortmund at all, and and their fans. It's like their fans were very welcoming. They're very helpful to the fans that were there. So I mean that's just pure class right there, and it's kind of nice maybe to go up against a side like that. If you're gonna be traveling away, that you don't have to worry too much that the away fans are gonna give you shit, or something bad's gonna happen. They're gonna be class all the way. Um, and of course, that's what we showed Dortmund last year as well. It seemed like the Dortmund fans really enjoyed their time in London, and of course they were there in London as well for the Champions League final the year prior. But if they're going to show us class, we got to show them class back. So it's not a bad draw whatsoever. Of course, when you're playing in Champions League, you're going to be coming up against the best no matter what. Um, but in this group stage, of course we want an easy road, but at the same time you still want to be playing against some of those top squads, because it only makes you better. It only makes your squad better. It only makes your the unity and the confidence that you can have, especially in the Champions League, and it can give you so much confidence. Um, you can take last season, for example, of how much those two first legs against Fenerbahce gave us confidence for the rest of the season, especially in the Champions League, to push forward. And we should have won the group stage last year, but we played just too defensive at Napoli, and we kind of threw up the white flag almost, and you know gave it to Dortmund almost in a way. We were basically playing not to lose at Napoli last year. So, but if you look at this group stages, it's very winnable. It's very, and I think we have to win it. We just, because who knows? UEFA might pin us up against fucking Bayern Munich for like the third straight year, which would be fucking ridiculous. Um, and they're going to probably win their group stage. All the top teams are going to win their group stages. So we got to win our group stage so we can get a favorable draw to make it into the quarterfinals, to take the next step forward. Of course, we get Galatasaray as well. Um, who knows what's going to happen with there? Of course, they lost Drogba over this summer. He went back to Chelsea, so that's always a good thing. Drogba's kind of our Achilles heel back when he was with Chelsea, and he just he trounced us at any opportunity. Anytime that Chelsea seemed like they needed a goal, he was always the one that knocked it in. He pretty much abused us during his time at Chelsea. Um, but we do have them. They are a good side. They're of course they're not afraid to spend money, um, but again they don't have that power horse, um, striker. Even though Drogba is getting a little green of tooth and everything, but he's still a force regardless. He still has that skill and that ability to put one in the back of the net in any opportunity. Um, but again, we have to go back to Turkey. We played the third place team and the first two playoff legs, and now we're gonna have to play against the second team of the Turkish league, which is Galatasaray, and hopefully it's a lot better. Hopefully their pitch isn't like a shit show like it was in the first two playoff legs, or the first away playoff leg, because that was just disastrous. I get that it's warm weather. The climate is pretty damaging when it comes to a pitch. But I mean, come on, it shouldn't be that terrible. So hopefully it's a little bit better. Hopefully it won't hail. I think I remember last year when Galatasaray played against Juventus, it would start hailing on the pitch. But hopefully the pitch is a lot better. Hopefully they really up their standards there from our first Champions League playoff game. Um, but again, it's still a side that you have to worry about. I mean, you looked at last year, Galatasaray; they were pretty much pushed aside. They thought that Real Madrid and Juventus would cruise right through the group stage, and Galatasaray would just be, pushed off to the side, which was its complete opposite. Uh, Juventus missed, of course, and they went to the Europa League, and Galatasaray made it all the way to the quarterfinals last year, I believe. So they're not a side to, just look past. Of course, they're always, like I said, they're spending money. They're trying to get talent in to make it work. Um, but again, it's not a side that you just want to take lightly. Anderlecht, of course, a Belgium side. The only times that I've ever seen them actually play is the Champions League. That's the only opportunity that I really have. So I don't really know much about them at all. I remember them. I remember one game last year that they played against PSG, and they kind of hung in the game here and there. But then PSG was just too much. There was just too much talent on the field for Anderlecht to really overcome. But from what I remember, they really tried to park the bus. Um, Again, it's not one of our strong suits of when teams park the bus against us, but again, that's what probably they're gonna have to do, because you look at an Arsenal side, and you try to compare them to an Anderlecht, and I was looking at the at the roster, and of course the only name that I really recognized was Sasha from United States, Sasha Klitschin from the United States, who was basically like a DMCM type of player. Um, um, but that's about the only kind of things I know about them. But going into the scheduling for the Champions League, our first Champions League game is September 16th. It's a Tuesday. That comes directly after the Man City game, which is on September 13th. So we're going to have two back-to-back huge games. Of course, the Man City game is at home, and then we have to travel away at Dortmund. Um, this is good for us, obviously. I think when we start off the group stage and we go away to our most difficult, game right off the bat. Of course, hopefully we get either a draw or a win out of it. If we get a loss, at least we get the tough game out of the way. Um, even if we lose that game, we still have rest of our home games, and if you, like I said, you compare the sides, and you would think, of course, Arsenal is a little bit more stronger than a Galatasaray or Anderlecht, and then of course we will have Dortmund on the return leg at home. Um, but again, I think that Dortmund away game, um, again, from going to their place last year and scraping in a goal from an Aaron Ramsey header, we have that confidence. We've won there before. We have that confidence that we can walk into that game, even though it's right after the Man City game, um, that we can walk in there and get a win, and play within ourselves and play our game. Of course, Dortmund's kind of like the same exact. They're basically like a mirror image of Arsenal in a way. They like to attack. They like to attack fast. Even when they lose the ball, they really press hard. They really press high. They always have a high line. Um, so that's something that we can try to exploit somewhat. And if we play kind of like the same game that we did last year, to where we played more defensive and we waited to counterattack, Dortmund can really open themselves up for that counterattack, and we really have to exploit that. And we really have to push forward as fast as possible, and try to catch them off guard, and try to catch their fullbacks, and of course their center halves, when they're not in line, when get that counterattack and try to scrape in another goal, maybe even two. Like I said, not having Lewandowski up top, it's going to hurt them. They're not going to have that threat to where you really have to, keep, a couple sets of eyes on Lewandowski. You have to put a player on him at all times. Like I said, of course they're going to have Marco Reus, and but you know, again, he's one of the best players I think in the world. But at the same time, he doesn't have that same goal scoring threat as a Lewandowski, where Lewandowski can be anywhere on within 20 yards and just knock it home. I know Royce can do that too, but Lewandowski, he's just a natural goal scorer. To where Royce is, he's a more balanced player. To where he can score goals, but he's also looking to set his teammates up as well. So that's going to be tough. Coming from that Man City game and then flying away to Dortmund. But again, we won there last year. We can have that confidence. We know we can win there. Of course, the environment, the atmosphere is just going to be chaotic. Dortmund fans are notorious. They're famous for the shows that they put on just their fans alone, and how much they get into the game, and the flags and the scarves and the little things that they do, especially for Champions League. It's always impressive to watch a Dortmund game, whether it's in Champions League or in Bundesliga. So it's going to be fun. It's going to be fun to watch, and hopefully we can scrape another win out of that one. Our next one is into, this one's going to be even tougher, possibly. Our next one is Galatasaray at home on October 1st, which is a Wednesday. That comes right after a North London derby against the Tottenham Hotspur, which is on the 27th of September, which is a Saturday. Which is pretty good because it's going to be at home against Tottenham Hotspur, of course, and then we have at home against Galatasaray, which is until Wednesday. So we're going to have Sunday, Monday, Tuesday to really recover and get the guys right, and hopefully if there's any kind of knocks or anything or any type of treatment that needs to be made, that we're going to have a few days rest. And then, of course, after the Galatasaray game is Chelsea away, which again isn't too bad because we don't have to really travel, which is nice. Of course, Chelsea in London, we don't have to travel. It's just basically going to be home, and then an away game. But again, when you get sandwiched in between the hot shit and then Chelsea, you really have to juggle your roster correctly. You have to really get that right. But then again, you're looking at after that Chelsea game, we could just pump out everybody for those 3 games, because the game before that is a Southampton game in the Capital One Cup on a Tuesday. Well, it says Tuesday or Wednesday. They haven't really scheduled it right off the bat, but you'd have to think for that Capital One Cup game that this is going to be youngsters and a few of the reserves, or a few of the bench guys, that just to get some time. So we'll have everybody rested up and ready to go for the hot shit game, and then you're probably going to see the same starting 11 for 3 straight games, because directly after that, after the Chelsea game, there is a what looks like to be a international break, because the next game is until October 18th against Hull City, which would be nice to see. The next Champions League game is against Anderlecht, and that's away at Anderlecht on October 22nd. This one isn't too bad. On October 18th we have Hull City, and then we have Anderlecht on the 22nd, which is a Wednesday, and then we have Sunderland on that Saturday, which is the 25th. Not too bad. Of course, the first 2 games are kind of a little bit crazy, but after the Dortmund game, I forgot to mention that one. Right after the Dortmund game, we have Aston Villa, which is again a winnable game, very winnable game. But again, that Galatasaray one is right now is probably the worst of the worst, where we have the hot shit Galatasaray and then Chelsea. But the next round of game is Hull City, then Anderlecht, then Sunderland. That's pretty good, to where we can rotate the squad, give some guys some rest when needed. Then our next game is against Anderlecht at home. To sandwich in between those games, we have Burnley on November 1st, and then we have Anderlecht on November 4th, which is a Tuesday, and then we have Swansea City, which is November 9th. Again, winnable games. We don't have to, where we can rotate the squad a little bit, where we don't have to really depend on pumping out the same starting 11 every single time. Um, and who knows, if we start right, if we start the right way that we're supposed to, especially in this group stage, I mean, we could almost have the either the group wrapped up or the second seed of the group wrapped up at the end of this Anderlecht at home on November 4th. But the next one after that is again is Dortmund at home on November 26th. Man, am I missing something here? No. The sandwich games in between that is Manchester United on the 22nd, which is a Saturday. Borussia Dortmund at home on the 26th, which is a Wednesday, and then West Brom Albion on the 29th of November. Again, we can, I guess for those two games, I guess you could say against United, it's is at home. Dortmund is at home. We can just pump out, our best starting 11 for both of those games. Maybe even, swing a couple guys here and there to give them enough rest. If that game is a must win, it might be a must win. We don't know. But it would be nice if we could almost wrap up the group by the end of that Anderlecht at home game. But again, if we need a win, if we need a draw, we still have opportunities. We still have, again, the sandwich games are United and Albion, which isn't too bad, especially the way Manchester United is playing right now. They can't even beat a League One side, which is pretty pathetic. Of course, a Phobie, Arsenal product knocked 2 goals in against them. So who knows? We might have to recall that kid, especially against United if he's going to score that type of stuff. But in our last game is Tuesday, December 9th against Galatasaray away. The sandwich games for those, again, looks good. If you looked at last year, some of our away games coming back from a Champions League was pretty brutal. I think one of them we had Manchester United, and then the other one I think was Man City, which we didn't play well in. We played okay in the Man City game, but we just got killed on the counterattack. Of course, it's 6-3. But on December 6th, we have Stoke City. Unfortunately, we have to go up there against the rugby team, and we'll see what happens there. Hopefully, we can bring some pads with us or something. Hopefully, they can tell Stoke City that we're playing football, the English version of football, not the American version of football. So hopefully, they won't beat us up too bad or something. Whatever type of so-called football they play in Stoke City. But the return after the Galatasaray game is at home against Newcastle United. Which is nice. It's not too bad when you look at the total schedule. There's only maybe one or maybe two you could put on, which are pretty bad, and that of course is the home against Galatasaray. Again, the sandwich games are the hot shit, and Chelsea, and then the very first open it up with the Champions League because we have Man City at home, and then we have to fly to Dortmund. Other than that, it looks pretty good as far as the schedule goes. Like I said in my season review, the schedule is working out, really nice for us. We're not going to have too many back-to-back tough games. Somebody mentioned, I'm going to have to look this up real quick, what Man City have right off the bat, because I heard it was something close to a kind of what we had last year. Oh yeah. Yeah, okay, listen to it. This is a pretty good one. This is for Man City of what they have to play between September 13th and September 21st. Oh no, yeah. Oh, that's even worse. Okay, September 13th they have to play us. September 17th they have to play Bayern Munich. Looks like it's at Munich. So they have to travel. That's going to be tough for Man City. Are they going to play their best starting 11 against us? Because they have to fly to Munich directly after that on the 17th to play Bayern Munich. On September 21st, which is a week after, or no, it's actually 4 days. I don't even know what I'm thinking there. But they have to play Bayern Munich, and then right after that, they have to play Chelsea at home. Man City's home at the Etihad. So they have to have the Arsenal, Bayern Munich, Chelsea. A week after they have Hull City, uh, and then a week or 4 days, 3 days later, they have Roma um, at the yeah. They have Roma, so that's some pretty tough games right there in the month of September. So they almost have what we had back in March, where we had what do we have like uh, Bayern Munich twice, and then we had Man City, and then we had Chelsea, and we had basically Everton almost like right after that, and it was just a crazy amount of difficult games that we had all bunched into one. So it looks like Man City's going to get a little taste of what we had to go through last year, and of course with Man City's uh, UEFA uh, problems where they have to have I think 7 homegrown players in their roster, and I think they're only limited to something like 21 roster spots for Champions League this year. So it's going to be difficult for them, but it's going to be interesting of what they put what they punch out there um, as far as when they play us in accordance to when they have to fly to Bayern Munich to play them. So it's going to be pretty interesting of how they're going to deal with that whole week, to where they have us, Bayern Munich, and Chelsea all in the same week. That's pretty difficult. But you know what? I'm not gonna sit here and give them any pity, because we had to deal with that last year, and it's nice to see that someone else is getting fucked right in the ass by the FA and the Champions League for the type of schedule that they're putting out. But that's basically the Champions League. I think it's a pretty favorable draw. It's definitely better than last year. Um, and do I think we can win? Absolutely. I think we can win this group stage. I think we have to win this group stage. Again, we have to run the right formations. We have to have the right people in the right positions. Of course, it's going to be pretty difficult that we're going to be losing out Olivier Giroud for the Champions League, because Olivier Giroud, when it comes to Champions League, he's pretty damn good for the last 2 years for us in the Champions League. I mean, he's really played his ass off, and he's scored some very important goals for us in last year's group stage, and even the year before that. He was just scoring goals left and right. I think he scored something like 10 goals in the Champions League. His first year with Arsenal. So he's definitely going to be missed because it seems like he kind of elevated his play for Champions League a lot for those games, and he really just went all out. So he's definitely going to be missed. But again, if Alexis Sanchez can be that guy, of course up front for us. Of course Theo's coming back supposedly this weekend. I don't know if he'll be in the side. I don't know if he'll just be with the first team training. Or not, because he's still in rehab and still trying to get that knee right. But hopefully by then, by the 16th of September, he's ready to go because we need him. We need that extra goal scoring threat. We need that threat on the wings or even up top. I'd rather see Sanchez as our out and out striker, because his work rate is a lot better than Theo's is. He's all over the pitch. If you saw that second leg, I mean, he was all over the place. By the 80th minute or something, you could tell he was just like dead. But that's because his work rate is so high, and that's what I love about Sanchez. He just goes all out, and he gives everything that he has. For Arsenal, and he's shown that every single game thus far, I think, and that's why I hope that Sanchez is the main striker with possibly again Theo or Sanogo backing him up, but I really hope Theo's back for that Dortmund game and just gives it an extra element going into that Champions League game and going into the group stage, because we need that extra goal scorer on the pitch because we just don't have enough of them on the pitch. Of course, we were missing Aaron Ramsey obviously in that second leg. He'll be well rested for the Leicester City game this weekend, which will be nice. But adding Theo back into the side, we need that. We need that scoring. We need that extra scoring into the side. We need that guy that's just gonna say, "Fuck it, I'm taking a shot," and that's the type of guy we need. Um, you look at the season before, he was our leading scorer, leading assist maker. We missed that. We missed that last year. Hopefully he stays healthy. Hopefully that knee is good and ready. Hopefully it's just, that nothing else will happen to him. Nothing, no more serious injuries. Um, we already had to deal with a serious injury right now with Giroud, and there's a lot of reports. Of course, when Giroud goes down, then you're hearing all these reports about Cavani and Falcao and all these different names. And I think it's just too late in the transfer window for us to even get anybody in because, as Arsene Wenger already pointed out, Giroud will be back late December. Honestly, you probably won't see him until next year. Um, that's just my opinion. You probably won't see him until next year. Of course, you have Sanchez, you have Sonogo if he can ever stay healthy himself. Seems like he always had back problems. But again, you have Theo coming back. He made it very clear that Joel Campbell is a striker, that he wants to play as a striker. Of course, he'll play on the wings, obviously, but that Joel Campbell is a striker, and even Joel Campbell said he is a striker, and I guess that's a type of confidence or that you want to see from a player that he said that's where I want to play. If called upon, I will play there, and I'll play the best of my ability. So we have options, but again, we won't have that big physical presence like a Giroud in the middle. This is where our formation has to be right. This is where you want to see a Mesut Ozil playing behind the striker because he will give support to the striker, whether it's Sanchez or Theo or whoever. But you want Mesut Ozil to be that quarterback and to just run the entire midfield with Aaron Ramsey and to set up guys, those pacey wingers and striker like a Theo Walcott or a Sanchez or the Ox or even a Joel Campbell. You need him to be running things and to pick out that pass that just no one else can really pick out. That Ozil can see a streaking Theo Walcott from a mile away or Sanchez making a run. He can see that from a mile away, and that's why you need him behind the striker. So hopefully we get our formation right. Hopefully. Like some people have mentioned in the comments and even on Twitter that once Theo comes back, then you're going to see the return of like a 4-2-3-1, and that's our strongest formation. People are saying the 4-3-3 it's better defensively, obviously, but when you play against a Crystal Palace or the Turkish side. Or even a Leicester City, you don't need to run a 4-3-3. You don't need to be defensive. You need to be attack-minded. So hopefully that switches back, and hopefully Mesut Ozil, because we're just wasting him on that left side. We really are. We're just wasting his talent. It might have worked because Jurgen Low had to do that in the World Cup because they were so injury. There were so many injuries to that German team that they were forced to play that formation. They're forced to play Ozil on the right side or the left side. But if you even look at that the final game, you look at the last 20-30 minutes of the game when they finally went back to that 4-2-3-1 and they put Ozil as the controlling midfielder, the attacking midfielder. A lot changed. They had more opportunities to score. They were a lot more deadlier, especially with Ozil as the quarterback. So hopefully we switch that up. Of course, again, like I said, this weekend we have Leicester City. I don't know much about them just because I haven't seen them play a whole lot. I saw them play a little bit against Everton and of course Chelsea from last week, and I guess the only benefit that I would I would say about Leicester City is they don't seem like they really like park the bus. I really feel sorry for them though because they have a real shitty schedule to start off the Premier League. It's kind of like, hey, welcome to Premier League. We're going to give you Everton, Chelsea, and Arsenal, and Man United in your first for 3 out of the 4 games. They even have Stoke right after us, and of course, the rugby team up there. They're going to get a nice rugby welcome when they go to Stoke City on the 13th. But I kind of almost feel sorry for them. That says, hey, welcome to the BPL. You have 3 of the top 5 teams from last year you have to play against, and of course, Man United, but the way Man United is playing, Leicester City can probably walk in there and beat the shit out of them. But again, I don't know much about them, but from what I did see against Everton or even against Chelsea, they didn't really sit back all that much. Of course, Chelsea controlled most of the game, controlled most of the possession, but that's just the way Chelsea plays. And but when they did have the ball, they attacked. They didn't just sit back and try to pass the ball around and try to catch a breather. They really attacked, especially in that Everton game as well. So I hope to see that they just don't park the bus. And plus, it's going to be at Leicester City, so hopefully they come out thinking, okay, we can all guns firing, and we can really come out there and attack. So I think that'll benefit Arsenal, of course, if someone doesn't, of course, park the bus against us. So hopefully we can get a win against them. Hopefully we can get 3 points. It's going to be interesting to see them play and to of course to learn about Leicester City and see what what they have and I think their headline players or goalkeeper, I guess, at least according to Arsenal on Twitter. So, but I've been trying to find out a little bit more, but I'm not gonna sit here and act ridiculous and try to tell you things about something I just don't know about. But hopefully it'll be a 3 points for us, and hopefully we get push that forward, and hopefully again, who knows if we'll have Theo back for this weekend, but I seriously doubt it. I think he's just gonna. I think Arsenal's going to ease him back into the side, but hopefully Theo's ready for that Champions League, that first draw against Borussia Dortmund. But that's all I got for you right now. I'll probably do a little bit of review on Sunday, of course, of the game, and hopefully we get another 3 points and right now we're sitting at fifth. Of course, the first 3-4 weeks are just kind of a toss up. Obviously, there's nothing that's really set in stone just about yet. You have to get to that the 6th, 7th week of the season when the table really starts taking shape. So yeah, on the 3 points and looking forward to the Champions League. Can't wait till it starts on the 16th, and that'll be it. Later.